So the album we're here to talk about today that changed your life is Purple Rain by Prince and the Revolution. How old are you when this album comes into your life?
15. I was starting to figure out that I didn't fit in. I was weird. I was into music. Purple Rain was like the perfect storm of awesome at the perfect time.
How did Purple Rain by Prince and the Revolution change your life?
The first time I heard When Doves Cry, I felt...
And we've all had music that's been the soundtrack to our childhood, to the highs and lows that we've had in life. And what we want to explore here today is the albums that have changed our life.
I still can't believe that he's gone.
Today's guest is Billy Mann and a special performance by Chosen Family. My theory, Billy, is that he who has the most books when he dies goes to heaven.
That's a good theory.
I'm kind of living under that premise.
I feel like what happens next? He whose hard drive is the most full with data. In a way, it's like music went from vinyl to digital.
That's a good comparison.
And it's like, what happens? I just saw that one book in Latin. It's all Dalí graphics, and it's like, it's on this... Those pages have like a humanity to them. It's like, what happens when that's gone? I don't mean it to be dark, but...
I also have kind of a distrust for the digital in the sense that it can be changed.
Yeah.
Where these can't be changed.
Right.
And I always worry about that too.
Right. Like the new edition can be...
Or even the old edition, you can change it and it's a sleight of hand. Yeah, people will change things and... we just assume it is what it is. We don't even question it.
Yeah.
So I like the actual...
The physical...
Yeah.
The tactile. Yeah, exactly.
Same thing with vinyl, though. Like, how many kids today have never sat and listened to an album and had to get up and flip it? And like, there's
and
a
also
commitment
the delicacy
to it.
of... But, that's changing. There's... even in L.A., there's a Licorice Pizza on Ventura. You go in there... And kids go in there and flipping through records, and they have listening stations, and like they have a huge following. And I think part of it has to do with that delicacy. It's like not just flipping through vinyl and looking at covers as art, and not sort of static, images, or even like a Canva. A lot of records now, they have like little looped movies. So when someone's listening on Spotify, they're going to watch like a repeat loop thing that's about as long as a TikTok. And you see kids at Licorice Pizza sitting there with headphones on, listening attentively to music while looking at liner notes. I think that's why vinyl has a resurgence now, but I do miss it. I miss that with music.
We're analog people. Like we're analog as humans.
Right.
And so digital is a separation from us. So there's something about analog vinyl or just books that has more of a soul, has more of an energy. Like just think about this, the energy from this.
Yes.
And if you pull out and you read the lyrics while you're listening to it, like look, it has a poster. Like, do you remember when you were a kid and you would get this and how excited you would be? Like,
see, but part of it is the art was layered. The art was
an experience.
And even when the music video happened, it was little movies that piqued your imagination. Right. Purple Rain was like the longest music video ever at that moment. And that's how I think it appealed to so many people like me who were, young kids, because it harnessed the curiosity around music videos as an expression of on a song by song basis, but on an album basis. Think how few albums have been made into full-length films. I mean, put Purple Rain aside, Sgt. Pepper's aside, but when you think about it, it's like Quadrophenia. I mean, some of the greatest albums ever graduated into these film experiences. I can't think of one now. I can think of movies where they've said, we're going to make a musical, and then they've worked retroactively to make sure that the music is there. Or musicals from Broadway where they say, okay, we know this works, so we'll just scale it into Hollywood. But this is, I hope there's still room for that. I really do. There should be anyway. Can I touch this?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man, this is like, it's amazing.
It's a great pressing too.
I still can't believe that.
Sounds so different on vinyl.
I can't believe that he's gone.
Yeah. It's weird, right?
It is weird. Unbelievable. But think of how much thought was put into this. But like, think about David Bowie, like how much care was put into the artwork.
So you grew up in Philly?
I did.
Mom and dad both at home?
No. Mom and dad split up. I was about 7 or 8. I lived with my mom mostly.
Do you have any siblings?
I have 2 siblings. I'm the youngest of 3 from my parents, my biological parents, and then I have step siblings. One stepbrother I'm particularly close to. The others I haven't had a connection to. But I was the baby, and I was. Some of it was the time, I guess. We were more feral as kids, Gen X kids, but I was pretty independent at a really young age.
What did dad do for a living?
He started off in auto parts and then got into eating disorders counseling and psychology. And my mom was, at first she raised us, and then she was educated, got her master's degree in writing and PhD in education administration. She was a teacher, and she worked also as a peace activist. There was an organization called PRONAC in Philly. Professionals for Nuclear Arms Control, where like really rich people got together and created a fund that was trying to bring attention to nuclear arms proliferation. And my mom she was a little thing. She was like a hug on feet. She loved everybody. She could find the silver lining in anything. You look at when you're a kid and you grow up and you're really independent, you can look at that independence through a few different lenses, especially in an urban environment where it's really, really intense all the time. I struggle with that. Sometimes I go back and I think I was kind of unsupervised to the point of like...
Were you independent before you were 7 or after the divorce?
No, I would say after the divorce. I mean, when you don't really have an alternative, I guess, in some ways, because if your parents split up and both your parents are working people, a mom or a dad can only be in one place at one time if you're a single parent. So the independence, at that stage was just part of my reality. But I think that's probably with most kids. It's when you grow up in that environment, and then the urban element that you layer on top of it, it was a different thing on your nervous system as a kid. You learn the hard way. I better look over my shoulder and look.
Did you get picked on?
I don't know if I would say any different than any other kid in Philly. I mean, I think I was definitely soft when we first moved. Actually, this is a both tragic and funny story. But we had lived outside the city in Villanova. It's about, I don't know, half an hour outside the city in a nice suburb. When we moved to the city, I remember I couldn't have been, at this point, we had been there for a little bit. I was maybe 9 or 10. And my mom sent me to pick up a pizza 2 blocks from our house in a nice neighborhood. I mean, pretty nice inner city neighborhood. I picked up the pizza. Like I said, I'm about 9 or 10. And on the way back, 5 kids jumped me the 2 blocks and beat me and kicked me and took the pizza off me. And I just remember not understanding why a bunch of kids would jump and even then I was like 9 years old. I mean, I was fine. I was like skin my knees, but I was it was like, okay, this is a new reality.
In a sense, you had to grow up quick?
Well, I think I had to grow a different understanding of the rules. The rules outside of the city were, little league kind of rules. And the rules inside the city were, you have to be aware on a different level.
Street smart.
Yeah. And I didn't no 9-year-old should have street smarts, but I had to learn, and I learned quickly.
What did your mom say when you came home without the pizza?
Well, the punchline of this is my mom, I remember her, she was standing on the stoop, and we had a dog, a collie, black and white collie, who was like really old and blind. And my mom was clearly nervous about what to say because we had just moved to the city and we hadn't been there long. And I remember she was smoking a Salem cigarette, and she's got Pandy, the dog, on a leash. And she said, "Don't worry, come inside. Pandy will get him." Pandy's like half dead. Pandy could barely walk up 4 stairs. And I remember her saying that. And I remember at the time just being defeated and deflated. When you sort of circle back to those milestone moments as a kid that anchor you in, that, where those
Thank you, Michael.
therapeutic nerve endings really sit. That was one in particular. It was a very, but I don't look back at it and think, look back and think poor little Billy me, but I don't look back at it and think anything other than that. I'm glad that it prepared me not because I think the whole world's out to get you, but more the awareness level that I had from that experience.
Do you see it as an advantage?
Yeah, I think, listen, I survived the music business. I don't know if I would survive the music business and have been so successful, frankly, if I didn't have a sort of baked in awareness that street smarts can give you.
Cheers. So you ordered coffee.
I did. And I'm going to, I don't know where we're graduating.
Is that an Americano?
Yes.
Okay. So that's Vivace from Seattle, that espresso. So hopefully
Chris,
you're impressed.
I'm excited to...
We're fans of coffee here at the library.
This is nice. This is very nice. I mean, I'm sort of laughing because it's like hard. Without the visual of my mom being this very 5'0" woman with like the cigarette and the blind old collie. I mean, it was just like, I look at it.
Imagine how hard that was for her.
Well, and that's it. I mean, that's really it, is that it was hard for me, but you're so elastic as a kid and you're so able to bounce back.
Yeah.
And for her, I'm the youngest and she knows that I'm on my own more. She knows that she's working. She worked 2 jobs for some of the years. She had lost her job a couple of years after that. And then she did 2 jobs before she got that job at Pronac. I do think as a parent now, with the understanding of being a dad, parenting is an equally learn as you go process. Everything you wanted to know about parenting books, I just think it's audacious that people write those books in the world we're living in.
It's funny. So I wrote this book on leadership. And when I was writing it, I was like, this is 2 books, because really, like, people think about leadership as this idealized thing, but you gotta deal with yourself first. So the first book is I Am, and then the second one's Leader. And I did these workshops for a while where I was kind of teaching it live here in the library, and it was an experience or whatever. The thing that blew me away is that all these business people came in and they wanted to be better leaders in business. And by the beginning of day 2, they were talking about parenting. Like, parenting is the probably most important leadership role that there is. And they all brought it local. They would say like, oh, I went home and I called my wife, or I called my son, or, and then they'd want their kids to come to it.
Right.
That surprised me, because I'm thinking business and I'm thinking this whole other thing, but it had this emotional effect that everybody was talking about family and parenting. You know how in the studio you'll have that blessed surprise where you thought it was a mistake in the moment, and you hear it back and you're like, it was kind of like that, where it was like, oh wow, I'm connecting in a place I didn't know I would connect.
I never looked at it that way. It's so perfectly placed, because when you're a parent, I mean, as a leader, you are leading, but you are also following. Leadership on a corporate level, at least in the years that I was a corporate executive, it was very much follow me. This is our initiative. This is what we're trying to do. The record company, we got to do this, or we have to change strategies, or whatever it is. And it's very much follow me leadership, which I think in politics and a lot of ways people see themselves as leaders, well, because people follow me. But with kids and as a parent, and I'm a special needs dad, I'm an autism dad. I have a son who's been no expressive language. And the phenomenon of a parent, little Chris, come and show Uncle Johnny that you can play the guitar, or whatever it is, it's very performative. But when you have a child that doesn't have that natural ability and you want to connect with that child, you can't say, hey, come and let's do this. You have to go. You have to go. When I wanted to connect with my oldest son, I wasn't connecting with him, and then he would be under the covers sometimes, maybe playing with a toy or something. And then I started going under the covers with him. I would just go under and just be with him. And he was leading me. And I think what kids do is that on the one hand, as a parent, your responsibility, you have to lead through those elements. But the reciprocity, the organic reciprocity that happens that makes you a better parent, I think you bring up the perfect example, because the accountability, the reporting structure is instantaneous and it is felt. The reverberations of bad leadership decisions are felt.
Yeah.
And that thermostat is not just controlled by one person. It's not just I'm the leader, and so I am setting the temperature here. Your constituents they're going to tell you what they need, and you can't fire them. That to me is using that as an example that's awesome, Chris. Is it a book? Did you write
Yeah, I'll
that?
give it to you before you leave.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw there was a leadership section in the library. I was on the tour, but
Yeah, one of those surprise
well,
outcomes.
why did you think of parenting as what came to you, to think that is the archetype in a way for leadership?
Just the feedback from people coming back after the first day and relating what they had learned that I was doing for them to be better in business, and they related it to parenting. It just surprised me because it wasn't my intention. But the way that the book lays out is it's very personal in the beginning. I think when people regress or reflect on what created them, right? Because that's a part of the process, is you have to understand your behavioral cascades. Like what happened when you were a kid that now is making you the way you are, and what one of those are helping you and what's hurting you.
Right.
They start to think about what they're doing to their kids.
Yeah.
It's so funny how many of them have reported back to me and how much more intentional they are in their parenting, in a sense, right? Because if you want to raise good kids, what you really want is you want kids with high self-esteem.
Right.
That's really the outcome, right? Like, I don't think as a parent you care if your kids are rich or successful. You want them to be good citizens that have high self-esteem and do good.
Happy.
Yeah.
Happy. And also, I think the measure of good parenting is if your kids want to hang out with you when they're older, and in conversation you can share perspectives on topics and make space for one another and keep that going throughout the relationship. And my kids, my oldest is 22, my youngest is 10. So I'm in like a real sweet spot. My daughter's graduating high school, and just even the past 18 months of my relationship with her has changed as she's grown more clear what her next steps are, her confidence level, her understanding or thoughts about the world. I get to have those layered conversations with her. The greatest feeling is when your kids want to hang out and just hang out.
Isn't it funny, like how simple it is?
There's some parents that, you finish school, you're on your own, good luck. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And then there's some parents that say, you finish school, come back home and live here forever. I don't know how I feel about both, but I think, again, that's where parenting doesn't end. I think you're doing it forever. Do you think the parenting should end not being there, but sort of the parenting process? Okay, you're old enough and I'm out. Or do you think parents are always parenting?
As a parent, you have the advantage of wisdom of time and more experience. So I don't think the parenting could ever end, because you have a unique set of experiences to share for the younger generation.
Right.
And then that flips probably, like my mom is 75. There's a kind of a point where you kind of start to become the parent too, maybe.
Did you grow up out here?
No. So I grew up in Mexico.
Where?
So my parents were in Tijuana. My mom married a pastor, and their thing was they wanted to be missionaries. So grew up in Mexico. I was 13. When I was 13, my family was in Washington State.
Oh, I remember this because when you talked to Obed,
he left.
You talked a little bit about this.
And so I was raised, from 13 on, I was raised by a single mom working 2 jobs and, that sort of thing.
It's hard, right? That part of it is.
Well, yeah. I'm curious, so what was your dad still involved in your life?
Yeah. No, my dad was involved.
Was he still living in Villanova?
No. Everybody went into the city.
Oh, okay.
It reflected the times,
Was your dad street smart?
I don't think my dad was fully aware of what the street life was like for me. I don't think.
But if you just look at him, would you perceive him as being?
My dad's a big, strong guy. He was, he's aware guy, but he was not like a street guy, much more cerebral guy. And I think aware, I mean, he's a good guy. I think he's aware, but I think that time also, my parents got married when they were like babies. My mom was maybe 19 or 20. And I think that you could ask a lot of people of my parents' generation, they married to kind of get out of their own lives. You know, they didn't want to go back home. It was like they wanted a hard launch. They didn't want to, there was no backpacking through Europe. I think when my parents split up, they went backpacking through Europe in their own lives. And
do you know
kids.
why they call us Generation X?
Tell me.
Because we're the first generation where the parents didn't prioritize the kids.
Right. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Some psychologist or something, but if you just look it up on Wikipedia, Generation X, we're the first generation where the parents didn't stay together for the kids. They prioritized their personal feelings, and the disaster followed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because on the one hand, as a kid, this is part of the, like, it's almost reluctant leadership. Leadership is, what's the guy who started Patagonia? I read a book of his about the like reluctant entrepreneur or something. It's like, to the point you made about parenting and leadership, I think there are some parents that they may look for the dividends of being a parent when they're older and don't get them. And it's because they didn't invest when their kids were younger, and so they don't get the return. You were not there for me, mom or whomever, and now you want to spend time with me and the grandkids, but they don't know you, and I don't know you. I think my mom made a pretty hard turnaround and a focus towards her family as she got older.
Which is probably why you turn out so good. Because she was intentional, right?
I think she would thank you if she were here. I feel like my number one priority is being a good husband and father. That is my job. And anything that
I think our generation takes it, we see it a little different because, like, I always was like, you know, I would stay together for the kids because, you know, I never knew my dad. So my dad left when I was 2 months. And what's interesting is when I had issues with my stepdad, because he was short, nothing like me. Like, we were so different. He had no hair. I had hair on my back when I was like 13. Like, you know, I was bigger than him. So I would dream about my dad.
Right.
Because there's this thing that happens with kids, right? Where you idealize the parent that isn't there. Like, they're the hero.
Yeah.
And then later on in life, when I did meet him or whatever, it was like, oh no, like, this isn't, there's no hero here. This guy's.
How did it impact the way you look at your stepdad after meeting your biological dad?
I'll tell you the story. So after my stepdad left us, what happened is my father hadn't paid child support for 13 years or whatever. And my mom was trying to get child support. Well, they went after him for all the back child support plus interest. You know, he wanted to meet me and take me on a son date. So he came to the house. We were staying in this house that this church in Seattle had. It was a conversion house. You know what that is?
No, tell me.
So it's people that are gay. They're trying to pray that out of them.
Oh.
And that was the only kind of place for us to stay at the time. And so it was chaos. It was complete chaos.
What a not intimate place to actually try to reconnect.
He shows up in his Ford Ranger pickup truck, and he comes in the house, and my first reaction was, oh, wow, okay. Like, he looked like me. He had hair peeking out the back of his collar. He was like the adult version of what I was going to become, right? I'm 13.
He was the Papa Bear visually.
And so that moment was liberating in a sense. It's like, oh, I could relate to this guy. We walk across the street. I get in his truck, and my mom goes back in the house, and he turns to me and he says, man, I miss your mom's.
Yeah.
And I was like, like, you know, in that moment, you're thinking of your mom giving a like. And
by the way, in any moment, let alone an
and that was
opening
kind of
moment.
my experience with him. Is he made fun of me because I was a city boy, and the whole thing was he wanted me to tell my mom to get support enforcement to leave. The whole time he's selling me on how unfair it is that they're coming after him for child support.
Okay, that's awful. That's a horrible.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. But my question to you too is: did you have an early kind of apprehension to authority?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, same
allergic.
Because everything the adults did, everything they said didn't match what they did.
I had been to 6 schools between the 4th grade and high school. I went from Bryn Mawr Elementary, and I went to Greenfield School, public school. I was fighting in that school. I left there. I went to a friend's school. Both my grandmothers pitched into private school. Didn't last there very long. And then my mom was very hippie-ish. And there was I just told a story. There was a school in Philly that they formed like an experimental school for, I guess, kids that were
Trouble?
having a hard time. And it was called the Amy Schools, Alternative Middle Years. These are formative. You want to talk about a formative moment? My mom was like, silver lining, my mom. It's going to be great. It's supposed to be a great program. And she's selling it to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. I remember she's driving me to the school. We're driving on Broad Street north. Listen, Philly is a tough place. South Philly is tough. West Philly is tough. Southwest, North Philly is also tough. So we're driving and we pull up to a building, and it's like an old office building. And we get in an elevator to go to the school. And we go to the top, we ring the bell, and it's like, this is the school. And there's a woman, like a bank teller around bulletproof glass. And they like buzz me in. And my mom's like, have a great day. And my mom's like all upbeat. I was like 12 years old. There are dudes with goatees and Adam's apples and Deltoids. There's like 2 pregnant girls. I'm 12. And I was a tall kid, but I was like myself. I was like, these are like, it was like scary. I walked in there and I couldn't say anything because I know that I had been very challenging for my parents, all this transition. And my grandmother, who I was very close to, was very much like, what she said was the way. And she's like, you be a good boy and do well in school and don't get in trouble. And then God shined light upon me, and the longest teacher strike maybe in the history of America happened, and there was no school for like a month. And my grandmother, who was like this force, talked to my parents and was like, Billy shouldn't be out of school this long. And so I went to school on the main line, just across City Line Avenue to Bala Middle School, which was like really bougie, nice area. I would commute. I would walk through the city, take the 44 bus for like an hour, get off City Line Avenue, walk a mile and a half to this school. And I did not mind at all, because after I went to that school, I was so scared. I was just grateful that I could go to a place. And that was a great experience. And I have lifelong friends from there. And then when I graduated, eventually I got to Kappa, which is the music high school in the city. And that was life-changing for me, because I was around all music people and creative kids. And I think the kids that were so motivated to do music and art at that age, a lot of them were gifted. So many, I say all of the kids were gifted in some way. But it was also, we were all kind of weird and different. We were passionate about things that were unusual, singing or a tuba or whatever it was. And you found your people. I would say, if I look back, and some of it's a little embarrassing. It's not like when my kids, they ever watch this, which, I don't like admitting that I was like moved school to school to school. But I love the fact that I found my people. And I think that's, from a parent's point of view, that's all I want for my kids, is find the people that...
Wasn't there a lesson in that for your kids, though, that sometimes it isn't a straight line?
Yeah, I mean...
Because in those moments, like I remember when I was a kid, like you're so devastated, and then something else happens, and that was the thing, but you had to do this to get to that.
I think resilience is...
You would have loathed that hour ride if you hadn't had that experience, right?
Right, but I think whatever we're going to call our generations, Gen Z or Gen Alpha or Gen Beta. I think Gen Beta will be most appropriate, because I think that the passivity that comes as a result of the I want it, I have it now, and it's this big, will take some of that resilience, some of that, the inconvenience of not getting what you want on demand, that gives you that character. It's like, I cannot imagine during the time from when your biological dad said something offensive about your mom to the end of that experience. You tell me that story, and beyond the sting of horrific reality that comes with somebody that you hope is going to say something that connects with you. To me, it's the afterlife of that you had to endure for however how long was it, an hour, 2 hours, a day of having to metabolize something so up and sustain your own core and then return back to what clearly is I really appreciate this is a lot better. That hour and a half commute is good with me. My mom who works 2 jobs, that's good with me. That's all the parent I need. I'm pretty sure that's probably something that went through your mind after that.
Well, I mean, I just look back and I think he was probably trying to connect with me.
Yeah, but
But
I mean, I don't know you that well. I just met you. There's
was,
like
right?
books. You're surrounded by everything that reflects depth. That depth didn't happen after that conversation. I'm sure you had that curiosity as a kid. So
Yeah, I think the depth probably comes from being more of an empath from all that.
Right.
Like you feel things a little deeper because of that.
Yeah.
And so you're more aware.
I mean, I think that the music is a time machine, for me. I was really excited to talk to you until I had to think about what album I was going to point to, because there's a lot of albums that have hit me. Songs in the Key of Life, Tapestry, there's like all over the place. Purple Rain was like the perfect storm of awesome at the perfect time. And it came out right at the time where I'd found my people. I was starting to figure out that I didn't fit in. I was weird. I was into music. I was into writing songs. I wasn't a popular kid. I didn't have that drive for socialiteness, whatever that is, but I really had the drive for music. And I love the danger in expression. I'm sort of thinking the other reason why this record is so pivotal, because it was like I started to find myself at the age when this came out. I found like my
How old were you?
This was 1984. I was 15, 14, 15. I think it was around that time.
And what instrument did you play?
I played guitar, I sang, I played piano, I played a little bass, but mostly guitar and singing. And I was writing songs. I was writing songs, but I was writing songs that were more, even in middle school, when I was out at that school just on the other side of the city line, I was writing my own songs. And it's funny, one of the best drummers in the world is a guy named Steve Wolf, he's in LA now. He's done Beyonce to Katy Perry to like every huge record. And he always makes fun of me. And the bass player was a kid, Adam Dorn, who's Joel Dorn's son. I mean, separate from that, Adam is a genius. He has a project called Motion Worker. He'd be a great person for you to talk to, both of these guys. And I had a song I wrote called Playful Girls. And it was like a total Prince ripoff. And they still make fun of me for it. That age around, puberty is raging. And I found the bug of songwriting more from Prince than I did from the sort of Jim Croce, James Taylor-y singer-songwriter stuff that was around me, that my mom was playing.
What was it about his songwriting?
At least for me, this record was storytelling. It was a narrative. It was direct. The hooks were big, which is a very Philly thing. I mean, Philly music was like Linda Creed, TSOP, those records, Gamble and Huff. I mean, it was a very song-oriented city. But they had big hooks. They were very strummy and very bluesy. If you look at Take Me With You from a musical perspective, it's really like a blues chord progression. I hear the song and it's just that, but it's a pop song. I mean, even beyond this record, if I look at it like When Doves Cry, it's a narrative song. It's not like a vague, those lyrics are very specific. I think that was the first single that came out and it's just like exploded. There's a deep rabbit hole that I want to go down. But when you break out the songs that were the big hits from this record.
Hits aside, what were the ones that you connected with the most?
I loved all of them. I mean, I loved that Computer Blue was like synth and a blues progression and changed tempos. He'd change tempos at the end of a song and just have an instrumental section. So that musical part of my brain, that wasn't...
Yeah, so the structures weren't all...
They weren't... I mean, and then he had like
traditional.
the backwards, the nibbling off of the Beatles backwards record playing. I mean, he was,
Was there a freedom in that for you?
well, it was a freedom. But the other thing is that,
Because a lot of the Philly stuff was more like verse, chorus, verse in style, wasn't it?
well, it was, but part of why I think Prince connected is that Prince was sort of everybody. Where I wound up socially was really grew up most comfortable in the Black community, my friends, singing in church with my friends. And that was like my typical social life. And then because I was out in the suburbs for middle school, I had those friends. So I was like, I listened to The Who and listened to whatever, like The Cure or whatever came out during that era, and Jay Giles Band or Foreigner. And then in the city, I'd be with my city friends and we listened to like Cameo and R&B with Luther Vandross. I was like obsessed with Luther Vandross.
Voice.
And Prince really was a mixture of that for me. And there wasn't an artist I could point to that was sort of taking these different elements.
How old is Prince when he records this? Isn't he like 20?
1984. I want
He
to
was
say.
young.
I mean, he was signed to Warner when he was 17. That's crazy.
Good eye at Warner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, until then, the
So
years
the-
later,
yeah.
the legal. But I think, I don't know. I loved so much of it. I felt like Baby I'm a Star is like a self-esteem song. The other thing is that he was relatable and accessible to men and women, to anybody. He was an androgynous figure in a way that you could relate to, or you could dive into the lyrics and take ownership of them in the narrative of your own life.
I never thought of it that way, but you're so right. Like I never thought of the androgyny, but he really was.
And he was tiny. He was, I have so many friends that knew him, some people that worked with him. I never did. I went to shows. I went on this tour. It was like one of the first shows I ever saw. I don't know.
So I forget her name, but the engineer, do you remember her name? So that was recorded at Sunset Sound, right?
This was, well, we can look at the liner notes.
Well, he had this one engineer that he used, and there's a lot of interviews of her talking about she would set up the studio for him. And one thing that I loved, which is just a time management thing, is that every guitar had to be tuned and ready, and you just handed it to him and he would play, because he would play every instrument.
Ridiculous.
So he just wanted to pick it up and play, go to the drums and play. Everything had to be ready when he walked in, which is just a level that we all wish.
Well, yeah.
When we walk in,
it's
that
like a
everybody
guitar
was
tech.
ready and you could just sit down and do the thing, right?
Clearly, he had a way that he could overdub himself in the process, and then he'd bring the band in. I know that he'd bring the band in, and then he would say, "Oh, these are all my parts." I think Lenny Kravitz does that as well. I think "Let's Go Crazy" is like. Do you know what that song's about? Do you have a view on that? So, "Let's Go Crazy" was, and I played.
I thought it was just self-explanatory.
I know, but it's
"Let's Go Crazy."
It is, but it's like "Let's Go Crazy" is about like life is short, and the lyrics, if you really break them down, are pretty naughty. It's like have fun and party and get laid, and then because we're all going. I mean, think about this. Think about Darling Nikki was in part the impetus for when Tipper Gore came in and wanted to do the censorship and rate records, because I don't know, I think her kid she like walked in on her kid listening to Darling Nikki, and the kid was like, I don't know, 10 years old or something, and thought this is inappropriate.
Well, I remember thinking that song was pretty exciting.
It was.
Pretty
and it was
stimulating.
Yeah, it was racy. It was I think the job of an artist in many respects in this kind of songwriting is to articulate the things that people think or feel in a way that they are not articulating them themselves, in an original way or from a personal experience, so you feel less alone. You listen to that song and it's like, if I could.
The drums on that song are nuts.
These are things that for musicians, like the chorus effect on the guitar on Purple Rain, that was just, today it's like nothing. It's kind of like dated. But at the time, that
there was
chorus
nothing
and
like it.
flanger,
Nothing
bananas.
like it.
And
his guitar playing is so underrated.
Right. How about the guitar solo at the end of Let's Go Crazy? It's like you're talking about synths with Jimi Hendrix marrying it with like a feel-good party chorus. It is
So that tapped into something in you that you felt more like you fit in.
For whatever reason, the language, the chords, the melodies, the lyrical style. If you ask anybody, they start out, you're sort of trying to find yourself in other artists in other places. Prince is just, he's original and was an original from the get-go. It's like listening to records like the earliest records all the way through. He never compromised like the funk in his stuff. He had such a clearly low tolerance for mediocre musicianship, like the level of the players. I'm thinking about the band. The Revolution was just, it wasn't like, you didn't look at the Revolution. They didn't all look like supermodels. You weren't like, well, fuck, I don't relate to any of these people. Or it was like, you know, it was like Schmelke, the keyboard player, and two women,
it was very
women
diverse.
guitarists. That was not happening in music. And he created a little hall of justice around the music that he created. And when he graduated from the Revolution to, I mean, I feel like I'm like boring the shit out of myself because I will nerd out on Prince. But when he went to New Power Generation, it was really about musical expression. And it's like an athlete who's like, okay, I've mastered the marathon. It's now time for the Ironman. It's like, he just never stopped. And I really miss those artists. I really do. He didn't chase after his last hit. I mean, I can tell you as a, you know, actively in this space, so many artists they're chasing after the last hit. Most of the new artists that have hits, most of them, record companies think, how can we slow the decline? Instead of the artist that's saying, how do I increase my creativity and challenge? And like,
do you think Prince was ever trying to write a hit?
I think Prince was a straight up genius. And I think in his own unique way, got the number on the music business. He knew what it was. And he knew when he had the leverage that he could write Slave on his face and go on television and force a conversation. Even if he couldn't force the business to change, he could force a negotiation, which he did.
So what advice would you give a young artist in the spirit of that conversation, of chasing hits?
I mean, well, on chasing hits, I would say there's so much volume. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of songs released a day with no filter to the same digital distribution ecosystem that is applicable to the biggest artists and the smallest artists, right? So if you start on a sure volume basis, statistically, you're going to fail. And what I always say to artists that I work with is the least we could do is be uncompromising about experiencing, writing, creating, and recording the truth, whatever the truth is. Because that way, if it's not commercially successful, which statistically it probably won't be, you won't look back and go, oh man, that wasn't me. I just did what they told me to do. Be who you are, express yourself, and be completely untethered with your uniqueness. Then if it doesn't connect, you'll look back on your life and you won't feel like you sold out or you bent over backwards to please the palate, the musical palate or commercial palate of somebody else who didn't have to live the life you lived and could be moved from one company to another or decide I want to be a real estate broker. And the second piece is that if it is successful, then it's the truth. Then you won't feel like shit promoting it. It'll be a mission. It'll be connected to you and you'll want to do the work and you'll want to go on social media and post about it and you'll want to evangelize the music that you create. You know, when you think of why certain artists are just indefatigable with touring and whatever, it's because they're obsessed with the music that they create, because they're desperate to share it with people. If you're a new artist and you're thinking about it, it's like, you're going to lose. Statistically, commercially, you're going to lose. So it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means start with the truth and then see where it takes you. There was no filter on Prince.
Yeah.
Look for the Purple Banana. Really?
He produced it. He wasn't copying anybody.
He didn't give a shit.
Wouldn't you say that the artists that are mimetic and copying what's out there have a shorter shelf life and it's harder to chase? But the ones, I mean, even if you only have 10,000 people following you, but you're saying something that you believe in, that's a more honest thing to grow. It's better to start small and build it over time.
Brother, this is exact. Look, small to me is the new big. If you want to build something, it's like, you can't smart bomb. I mean, it used to be you could put out a record and you had great record companies and everybody takes shots at record companies. It's like record companies enabled the globalization of Purple Rain. Whether we can debate a lot of the practices, and I've been inside this machine.
But it was a machine.
But it is 100% a machine. But it's a machine that when you do touch a nerve and you do make a dent in the zeitgeist culturally, and you do need to scale it, those companies can do amazing things. It doesn't mean they have a right to rape and pillage, right? And we are in the middle of an enormous cycle of change. I mean, people, look, I think the remuneration of artists and songwriters, it's completely lopsided and it's a mess. But at the same time, Daniel Ek revolutionized, and some people say he saved the music business. It's like we were talking about books. It's like, what is going to happen to books? Now, for us, our attachment to the tactile experience of holding the cover and the pages, our kids may not care about that. And therefore, the evolution of the experience will change. Libraries may become like resorts. It's like we're going on vacation where we're going the library resort where everything is analog. But the inevitability of change in the digital world and in, you know, where we are now and with AI is going back to it. I think it's more for a new artist. Take advantage of how inexpensive it is to record. Take advantage of however willing you are to take risks and express yourself. There will be somebody out there that connects with you. If you, like, there's this pianist named Black Bach, B-L-K-B-O-K. He was a keyboard player. He's still a keyboard. I mean, he's a pianist who played with John Mayer and Justin Timberlake. And he's a dude that grew up in Detroit. He's amazing. He creates neoclassical piano pieces that are reflections of things happening in our culture. He did a piece called Michelle's First Day at the White House. It's like how he musically hears when Barack Obama was first elected and a Black woman first lady walked into our highest office residence that was built by slaves, and what that sounded like to him as a Black man in America through piano. I started working with him, and he had no audience. It was him, me, and my friend Benton, and a couple other people. And now he tours. I mean, he's got a career, but it's this big. He's got this audience this big, but he can build a career off doing that as long as he does that expression. And the scalability question is more a commercial question. I mean, think about Alan Stone as a soul singer from Shalewa, Washington. He's amazing. He sells out theaters and tours all over America. I don't even know if you've ever heard of him. People love Alan Stone. His concerts are like little, almost church revival, positive vibes. I mean, the guy's, he's remarkable. And he's been touring. I mean, I signed him 12 years ago just to do his admin, just to collect royalties for him, because I saw him play at Mount Olympus in LA at someone's house party. And I was like crying listening to this guy sing his ass off. And I just wanted to be a part of it. I flew to Seattle, signed him at an airport, and flew back to New York. But he has a career, exactly what you're saying, which is he built off of the nugget of an audience. I'd rather somebody have 10,000 people, 1,000 people who really care. You can scale from that than 1 million people who are voyeurs. 1 million people that you get 2 comments and 6 likes. 1,000 people who always comment and are engaged with you. They're your best marketers.
Somebody who has something to really say.
Yeah, but you have
from the heart.
Right, you have to have something that's
You're not trying
different.
to copy what everybody else is saying.
Because at which point, what are you going to do? It's like, well, I'm French fries, they're French fries. Which French fries are the best? Honestly, people eat French fries when they're like, they just want some salt and they're probably having a burger, and that could be anywhere.
It's great advice, though.
I don't think it's easy advice, because a new artist today has to embrace the fact that commercially their odds are, they were terrible before, but now they're, how they are has nothing to do with the art. It just has to do with sheer volume. I still feel that cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
But to get there is, the mud on the road is thicker.
So the big question.
Okay.
How did Purple Rain by Prince and the Revolution change your life?
The first time I heard When Doves Cry, I felt that feeling you want to feel when you hear a record that stops you in your tracks. Do you ever do that when you're driving? Like, I mean, I get everybody is now in playlist land, but when you were driving, when we were younger and you'd have the radio on and you'd like hear a song and you'd be like,
Yeah.
just stop everything. I heard When Doves Cry, and for whatever the reason, it was just like this exotic, weird, unusual, almost drum machine, you know, that doom doom kakoom, doom doom kakoom. It wasn't a drum, it was a drum machine. It was like everything about it was so guitar and synths, and it was just, and the harmonies that came in, and they were sort of these cluster harmonies. I just remember listening to it and thinking like, what the fuck is this? Up until that time, I mean, there are other songs that I can think of that stopped me in my, Rosalita by Bruce Springsteen. I remember the first time I heard that and just like blazing band starting off that song, a totally different experience. Or, you know, For the Love of Money, like that bass line, Anthony Jackson bass line, like those records that just take you from the beginning. When Doves Cry, I remember I had the cassette that was attached to my stereo, that was attached to speakers, you know, you had like a boom box. And I remember I would just wait for, I think it was WCAU or a 98 pop station in Philly. And I would just wait and have it on record to hit it so that I could have it. And I just play it to death. And then I would just like obsess over that song and play it over and over again. And then when the movie came out, I must have seen the movie like, I don't know, 5 times.
In the theater?
In the theater, yeah. And also, you know, I mean, if I'm being entirely honest about the movie, it was like Apollonia was like naked in the movie. And I remember being like an adolescent kid, like, you know, the scene where he's at Lake Minnetonka on the bike and she's like taking off her clothes and every kid in the place is like of the age is like, wow, she's so beautiful. But it's more because it was indicative of the exact age that I was developmentally, that Prince sort of touched all the nerve endings of every person that listened to it and tested us. It was, you know, he tested the borders of sexuality, musicality, pop music, rock music, funk music. And then, I don't know. And he wasn't a thing. Black people loved him, white people loved him, Latino people loved him. Gay people loved him. Androgynous people loved him. He pushed every boundary for me, and at that age, it was like a spaceship you got to get on.
I'm so glad you picked that record.
It's
such a special record.
I know I'm so on one because I listened to it again this morning and coming to sit and talk to you about it. But if you talk to a musician about Prince, someone that's a real player, they know that dude was the heaviest. I mean, those bands, any of those musicians, like, just, they were fire. And New Power Generation were also next level. Do you play an instrument?
I play drums.
You do? Okay.
I started in church and yeah.
What do you...
So I was in that Seattle scene.
What did you think of Prince when he came out? Or when this record came?
It was different than like Michael Jackson or whatever that was pop. Prince was real music by a real musician. So, I mean, we were obsessed with it.
I mean, I think most of the people I knew that were the rock people, they didn't know what to do with it because...
Oh, no, we were rocking. We were super into it. Especially the guitar, like, yeah,
well,
just the production, everything. And even for me being a drummer, like you were saying, the way that he combined real drums with drum machines.
Yeah.
And that was kind of new at the time, like, you know, and not in the way that like drum machine heavy bands were doing it, but it had, even the drum machines kind of had a soul to it. Because it didn't feel like a loop. It felt like he was playing it.
Well, they were playing over it. So he used it. That was like a click track, essentially. He would like loop.
But they didn't sound like a rigid loop. It had a little swing to it.
But even the synth stuff was live. So there was like Juno 108, I think. Those keyboards, Juno 106, 108.
It didn't sound like a 909.
Right.
But everybody was using.
But all those synth parts were played live. They weren't sequenced. Bob O'Reilly, the Who song, had that synth. That's like another record where, you know, you synced up to something that was like on a click, essentially, and forced to click. I don't know how how they managed some of those tempo changes on the master. But his guitar playing is also like shocking. The Jimi Hendrix of it all is like shocking. And the screaming, scorching solos are insane. And did you see he did the George Harrison tribute? The
nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Guitar
but
gently
just
weeps.
proof to like, he stands there for half the song and then all of a sudden just goes.
Just destroyed the place.
Yeah.
And
it's funny,
like
they don't even give him the first solo. Like, it's so crazy to me that Prince is standing there and you don't give him the first solo.
But look at his face. The guitar playing is amazing. As a performer, he's like the greatest showman. But the look on his face, that raw confidence level. That,
and even that he does the James Brown thing where he leans back and they catch him and it comes forward. And watching Tom Petty watch him is funny too.
But that's the other thing. They're just strumming along. And you can see, I guess, maybe it's George Harrison's kid is just like, glowing. When I see that clip and I see his kid, that's kind of how
I've watched that thing like 100 times.
I know.
It's the best.
It's so good.
There's a new clip of it where you see the guitar hit.
Really?
Yeah, so it hit. When you see that angle, you're like, how did you not see it hit? It like bounces off the ground. There's another angle that they just put out. Because when he throws it at the end, you're like, where does it go? It comes right back down and hits the ground. Which was also kind of his like FU, like, but he so cool.
He tore the place up. Yeah, Tom Petty's face.
Yeah, and they keep looping that chorus, and it's like they kind of don't know what to do. Tom and who's the other guy from the Traveling Wilburys? Yeah, and isn't Steve Winwood on the keys? Maybe
I don't know. Maybe
doesn't matter. Like Prince steals. Like he just shows that he was on another level from everybody. He was just in a league all by himself.
Purple Rain, by the way, the song, which is like a huge hit, obviously, and it's just like sort of blue chip standard. But I always like wondered what was it about, and I can't say I've fully figured it out yet. Like I think there's reference to the purple banana in Let's Go Crazy, which I think is like a phallic reference. And then there's Purple Rain, and is rain a double entendre? Is it like rain, REIGN? Purple Rain? Is that like, I know I'm like reading into it, but these are the things that I was thinking about as a kid. I'm like, okay, is it about forgiveness? But I think in looking back on it, I think it is just about the primal nature of human beings and that life is short. That's my takeaway from.
Well, that first sequence where he says, "Dearly beloved," like,
right?
It's church.
Yeah.
It's church. Yeah. He's orating. He's not singing.
Yeah.
It's an oration. It's like, let's gather around and do this. Like,
well, but it's also the afterlife. It's so interesting because the fact that he died so young, and it's still not real to me. And I think there's just like a treasure trove of master recordings that are yet to come out. I don't know where they are, that legal process, but that was also part of his work, was about life, sex, love, and death, and the sort of primal thing. And I think that his untethered lens is what made him dangerous and accessible. Let me put it this way. I think there's 3 layers. There's like people have their public life and their private life and their secret life. And the public life is like, hey, I'm Billy Mann, this is how I appear, whatever, that accessible to anybody, walk down the street, or people on a day-to-day basis. And then the private life is your circle of friends, or the people in your community, your family. And the secret life is like somebody who likes feet. You know what I mean? They like have a thing and it's kind of weird and it's like, I like feet or whatever that is. The transparency, right? The fact that his public life and his private life and his secret life, he did more elevation of the secret life stuff than the safe public stuff. And I think the reason it connected with so many people is that he always was pushing the boundaries. like controversy as a record that came out. And it was secret life stuff. It was like sexual innuendo or one step further. It was about pushing the boundaries and the transparency between his secret life and the public life.
He wasn't hiding behind a mask.
Yeah, he didn't.
He's very authentic.
Think of how many artists
it just came out of him.
Yeah, they like
he didn't
they have
try to
this
censor
persona, and then there's like the real them.
Yeah,
it's like this is the real motherfucker the whole way through. I think that's what resonates with people. I think they just want the truth.
So before my last question,
yes,
what would you say to your kids about Purple Rain?
I would say whenever they're ready, it's a great.
Dad'll sit down and put on the vinyl.
I'll put on the vinyl. Well, I don't know if I'd want them to see the movie at first, like as a whole piece of work, because all the songs are in it. I think I would probably say, let me play you a song or two from this record. And then I'd say,
what would be those songs?
When Doves Cry, obviously, was the one that got me. Take Me With You and Purple Rain, those three. I wouldn't start with Darling Nikki or Computer Blue, but both amazing. I think those are more indicative of the breadth of where this whole experience, the movie, the story was going. But my hope is that what is the Purple Rain for them? And I think that's what I'm hoping happens with the artists that come. I'm looking for those people. It's like I see the artists that are out there and I'm like looking for that. And, I'm still looking. But there are a few. They're out there.
There's definitely the availability of it.
Yeah.
There's the opening.
And there's the access. Anybody can make a movie. You got a phone with like an editing program. And I shouldn't say anybody can make a movie, but the tools are there and they're available. And I think if you gave, this is what I tell people about social media and technology that look at it and say it's so terrible. It is different. But if Andy Warhol was frozen and he was cryogenically preserved and he returned to life today, and you turned to him and you showed him, the iPhone Pro, whatever, and said, listen, we've got your paintbrushes set up and you can do this, or you have this, which you can make movies and photos and art and you can manipulate and do whatever, but here's your brushes. He would give me that phone. I think artists will find ways to express themselves and they're going to take advantage of every crumb of technology. And I think that that's what the next level will be. The next level artist, whoever the next Prince will be an artist who wants to take advantage of the full panoramic view that comes with the technology we have and has a way to make it snackable and accessible to people. And he did that, and he did it lyrically and with the technology and with genre and with musicianship and a point of view that was different than anybody else's. And that's what I'm excited about, because I know that artist
very
is out
well
there.
Well said. So tell me about this project you're doing with Sean.
It's so funny. Sean Stockman and I went to high school together in Philly, and Kappa, which was this music and art school, it's like the fame school. But in Philly, they didn't have money, so they crammed the program into an elementary school in South Philly, right next to the projects, 11th and Catherine Street. And there was an elementary school and a special needs school, and then there was choir and music, whatever. And the number of kids that came to school with us that were hitters in music and still are, like The Roots, Christian McBride, Joey DeFrancesco, Boyz II Men, obviously. It's just one amazing artist after the next. And we were all concentrated in this period. So we learned from the same teachers. For vocal music, it was a guy named David King. Mr. King was like, I can't call him David King. He's going to be Mr. King. I mean, he passed away years ago, but he was his bigger than life character. And so we learned, and it was Socratic method. So the whole choir could be singing a piece, and he'd say, the whole choir singing, you get 80 kids singing, and all of a sudden he goes, and Chris alone, 3, 4, Chris. And in front of the whole choir, if you didn't know your shit, it was brutal. It was really competitive and really disciplined, but it was amazing. And then we graduated. I lived in my car for 2 years trying to play music on the street, figure out my career. And during that time, Sean and Nate, I knew Nate. I think I knew Nate a little more than Sean. I walked to school with Nate a few times, and Nate Morris was, these are the founding guys of Boyz II Men. And there was another kid, Mark, that was originally in the group, not in the group, and Mike, who was in the group. And it's like they have like an alumni, but it's really Nate, Sean, and Wanye. And then we lost touch. But it's like you root for the kids that you went to school with. You just did. And they were a beacon for me because I was like struggling to figure it out on another sort of strumming guitar path. And over the years, as things got better for me career-wise, I would see guys sometimes at a recording studio say, "What's up?" or at an awards thing. I mentioned before, I'm an autism dad. And when you have that experience as a parent, dads are not great at talking to each other, autism dads. I wish that was different. My wife has an amazing circle of friends, of special needs moms who are really, support one another. And for whatever reason, I think it's harder for dads. And then I heard that Sean had a son who was autistic also. And I never mentioned anything about it. And then another kid who we grew up with, that went to Kappa with us at the school, his name's Clayton Sears. He was a prodigy at 14. He's bananas, one of the greatest musicians I've ever met in my life. So much so that he so leapfrogged me in 3 months when he learned guitar. And then 3 months later, he's like shredding. He's one of those guys. And he's gone on to play guitar with John Mayer. He was just on tour with Stevie Wonder, James Taylor, Queen Latifah, Common, Jay-Z. And we lost touch. And a couple of years ago, Wolf, the drummer that I mentioned earlier, called me and said, "Hey man, we're in the studio in Brooklyn. You got to come down. I live in Connecticut now. Clay is here." And I hadn't seen him for 30 years. So I went to Brooklyn the next day and I saw Clay, and it was just like, we were just like high school thugs again, just talking shit and hanging out. And then afterwards, everybody split up. And I remember he and I were in the street in Brooklyn talking. And he's like, "Yeah, my son's autistic also." And I don't know. And I just had this thing in my head, like, we should get together and do something. And the way things happen, you get a couple of busy people with lives say, yeah, we'll do it. And, you sort of kick the can down the road. And I sent a text to Sean and was like, we should get together and just like hang out. Like, no expectation. Let's write songs and jam. And in a way, it was my wanting to have a autism dad connection, I think, too, like a safe place to talk. But then it happened like a year ago. Clay was doing the Kennedy Honors concert. They were tribute to Kevin Hart. And Sean and the guys had done Wembley Arena. And we scheduled it all, and we found this. And we had started sending each other little snippets of things. And Sean is an amazing guitarist. Like, people are learning this now because he's bringing the guitar out on tour with Boyz II Men. But he's bananas. And he started playing in his 40s. I just said, let's get together. And it happened about a year ago. And we all went to Philly at Clay's studio. And we just hung out and started singing together and writing songs. And Clay's is a brilliant guitarist. And next thing you know, we had like made an album in like a week. I don't know. We didn't really think anything of it. And then I sent it to a bunch of people in the music industry. And I didn't say it was me or Sean. I just said, "I'm working on this thing. What do you think?" Blah, blah, blah. And I sent it to people who are like haters. Like, people tell me, they'll be like, "This is terrible." And everybody's like, "What is this? What is this? What is this?" And then we thought, we'll try and do something with it. And then a couple labels came forward, and we wound up doing a deal with Green Hill, which is a partnership with Virgin Records. And, we didn't, full disclosure, so we weren't like looking for advance money, but we were just looking for a way to channel it out there. And since then, the reaction has been really meaningful. And it's not a bunch of songs about like autism. It has nothing to do with it. It's just autism dads that got together and did a thing. But the chosen family element of it, and I'm sure Sean has his view, is that when you are a family that everybody has their thing, they have something. We're learning in life, and some people have their challenges, and they're going to be different than other people. But ours, for my family, was autism was a particular part, and we were a chosen family. We were chosen to have that experience. And the other side of that is that the people that listen to music, and the music is more for you, it's for adults. We're not trying to compete with Ariana Grande for top 40 time, but it's like we want people to choose the music. And that's the spirit of it.
It definitely has that vibe.
Yeah. And it's an earthy singer-songwriter
Yeah,
vibe.
the harmonies are insane.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's a really...
You definitely like do a double take. You're like, oh wow, this is special.
It's fun. Thank you for saying that. It's I think we don't know where it leads, but that is in part that we have two advantages. One, the advantage of already having commercial success, so we're not freaking out. We're not looking for validation.
Well, you're doing the thing that you gave advice to the younger kids.
Right.
You're just doing the thing that's authentic to you guys.
And it's like, by the way, it's scary for me. I mean, Sean is like, he's been performing. I'm a behind the scenes guy for 30 years. And it's like to go through that experience is, I mean, he learned guitar in his 40s and he's a zillion times better guitarist than I am. And I've been playing my whole life. He's just gifted like that. And he's also one of the greatest R&B singers, in music. And so it's a lot for me to keep up with. But on the other hand, the challenge of sitting next to or standing next to someone who's a performer who's that good pushes me out of my own comfort zone to enjoy it. And it's I would say to the people that listen to your podcast and watch this, is especially of our age, it's like you're allowed to have a second act and flirt with things that you have a passion for. And it doesn't really matter if it's people don't need to like it. It's like people don't need to like you. It's that self-possession. It's something that takes time to appreciate, the being in the comfort of yourself and the discomfort of pushing the boundaries of yourself. Because like this is a really comfortable chair, by the way, Chris. And I can see myself not wanting to get up when we're done just because it's comfortable. But I also know it's good for me to get up from that comfortable chair in my life. And that's what this has done for me personally. And, I owe a lot to Clay and to Sean for that. And Sean and I, we're going to go tour and try to connect with people, and maybe people will show up, maybe they won't, but we're showing up for each other. It's a beautiful experience for me.
I would bet that it builds organically because it's pretty special. It's great.
I think if we can get 1,000 people that care with us, that would be amazing. And hopefully those people will. What
are the two songs you're going to play for us?
I think we're going to do one song called Press Save. Press Save there's like a Philly flavor to all these songs, but Press Save has a lot of Philly references in it. For me, it really reflects the humility of, when I was starting off and I was really financially, I was in a really terrible place. And it sort of gives reference to the humility of that starting moment. But it's really about the recognition of being in the moment, like in relationships, press save, like when we're having this experience, save it. Don't just let it go off the hard drive of your life experience. And it's not always so literal like that in the song, but that's like the spirit of it. And it's very nostalgic, very Philly nostalgic. The other song I think we're going to do, and I don't know where Sean is, but we will do, I think, Only You Can Save Me, which is like a foot stomper. This amazing director, Christina Pileski, had this concept for the song. She was telling us, that the song is about us talking to our younger selves. And this idea that when you look back, the younger you, like you're talking to the younger you, and that connection. And she's brilliant, but not just as a director, but she was brilliant in that she identified the song and why it connected with us beautifully. So I think we'll do those two.
Awesome. Well, this was fun. I appreciate it.
Man, I'm like, I need to get, I like look at these books and what you've created here. It's amazing. I'm not just trying to like gas you up, but it's great. And I thank you for putting me back in touch with this record. It is a time machine, and it takes me back to all the angst and fear and the excitement and the energy. It was
Discovery.
It's just
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It's amazing how music does that.
I know. It's it doesn't get old. I think it's why I keep doing it.
Close my eyes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, hey. Oh yeah, only years gone by, know the tears don't dry. Oh, I still need you, I still need you. Lost all my hope, lifetime left to go. Oh, I still love you, I still love you. Hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now. Only you can save me, you can save me. Hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now. Only you can save me, you can save me. Save me now, save me now. Cut me out these chains, you harmonize my pain. Oh, I still need you, I still need you. Times I'm all alone, you light my younger bones. Oh, how I love you, I still love you. Hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now. Only you can save me, you can save me. Hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now. Only you can save me, you can save me. Save me now, save me now. Only you can save me, you can save me now. Only you can save me, I still love you. Hey now, hey now. Only you can save me, you can save me. Hey now, hey now. Only you can save me, you can save me now. Only you can save me, you can save me now. Hey now, oh, only you can save me. Only you can save me now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah.
You want more? One more. Yeah. You want to try?